Hello YouTube, my name is Ngript. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. This is my second video on this channel. I'm really enjoying this process so far and putting together videos. Today I'm going to be talking about Warhammer 40,000, something very near and dear to me. I try to read multiple books a week. Most of them are from Warhammer 40,000 because, you know, I'm just super passionate about it, but I've also like reading Dune. I like reading other fantasy novels too, like Lord of the Rings as well as Game of Thrones. So other books might appear on this channel as well as time goes on. The book I'm going to be talking about today is The Elemental Council. It's written by Noah Van Nuyen. Honestly, this is a really fantastic book. If I had to give it a rating out of 10, I'd probably give it a 9 out of 10. I think this is a fantastic place for anyone who is getting into Warhammer 40,000 to begin. Um, just because it gives a good overview of the Tau Empire, some thoughts about the Imperium from another perspective, looking in. Space Marines, Kroot, a whole bunch of different characters appear in this. Even the assassins from the Imperium. This book, it starts out on a moon orbiting a planet called Kauquo, I believe. And the Tau have recently taken over these two celestial bodies. The populace, though, a portion of the populace is very discontented about this takeover due to how the takeover happened. The Tau, it's explained that they originally came to Kauquo with open arms and were wanting to essentially just ingratiate themselves to the humans and show them how the Tau Empire could be much better than the Imperium. And I don't blame the humans for believing them. But when it came to the time of those people to throw off the shackles of the Imperium, the Tau swept in and took over everything. So people were pretty upset about that. That's a little bit of background. So on the moon, it starts off with the Firecast character. Her name is Swordlight. The Watercast character, his name is Or. The Earthcast, I forget her name. Um, then the Aircast, his name is Say. And the Ethereal, which is the Paramount Mover. Some stuff happens on that moon. The Space Marines who are leading the humans, they're really badass. They're probably one of the best depictions of Space Marines in Warhammer fiction that I can think of. They lead an assault on a signaling station for the Tau, which is really important for the Tau. And unfortunately, well, fortunate for the Tau, unfortunate for the Imperium, the 5 out of 6 Space Marines die, leaving only one, Artimax. Now, Artimax is the ultimate badass. He shows up multiple times in the rest of the novel, trying to lead a concerted resistance against the Tau Empire, leading the remnants of the Astra Militarum that are on the planet, as well as just discontented civilians. As the novel goes forward, it's revealed that there's a portion of the Tau Empire called the Syra that want essentially discontent with humans so that they can have excuses to discriminate and possibly exterminate the humans. It's unclear where the origins of this movement came from, but it's implied that a ethereal might be involved. As the novel goes forward, it becomes more and more clear what Artemax's goals are, which are to destabilize the Tau Empire and make them have doubts in their ethereal caste. It's later revealed that the paramount mover, the ethereal that was in the elemental council, was replaced by a Kaladix assassin. This is really cool, in my opinion, in how they revealed it. It was a lot of intrigue, a lot of maybe doubt as to characters' sanity, because they're all trained not to question ethereals at all. Yeah, just really well done. In the end, though, Artemax doesn't win, and the Tau Empire wins. And there's a good ending in which they decide that Cao Kuo deserves independence, and then the Tau just leave for some reason. I've never seen that happen in Warhammer 40,000, where they just allow a planet to continue living and have a good time. But that does happen, and it's pretty great. Subverted expectations, because up until then it seemed like the Tau were definitely just going to nuke the whole planet and cause it to be uninhabitable. But yeah, the Aircast person, he sacrifices himself to prevent that, and they all get to live happily ever after. Some really interesting things that came up in this book were how the ethereals affect other Tau. The other Tau, they describe how they feel this electric presence and almost a will to obey the ethereals. And the human characters, they just don't really understand this. They're like, we just see these ethereals as people. I don't understand how you see them as these almost divine beings. So I really wonder if there's some sort of connection to the warp, and perhaps a similarity in how Primarchs affect Space Marines, because it's kind of described a little bit similar as to how the Primarchs affect the Space Marines. Let me know what you think about that. I'd be very interested to hear, but I'm also very interested to hear if there's any further mention of this in other Warhammer lore, or if it's going to be talked about in the future. The other thing was mention of Krorks, the version of the orcs that existed during the War in Heaven, with the old ones versus the Necrons and all of that. This comes up in the Kroot character describing his war sphere and the carvings that exist inside of the war sphere, one of them being a Krork. So this leads me to wonder if the Kroot were around during the War in Heaven, or if there's actually still a Krork somewhere in the galaxy still, and the Kroot encountered it. I think this will be very interesting if this ever comes up in Warhammer lore again, because it'll change everything with the orcs if there's an actual Krork around. I'm reading a Warhammer book right now called Oaths of Damnation, so I might talk about that book next, or I might talk about another one that I've read recently. Hope you all have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. Bye-bye.